unbeknownst to me, I've in my sleep exposed myself. Just terrible. Young ladies are in the room, and everyone is just not pointing at you, but pointing there.
Right.
Going, ah!
Welcome to Uncool with Alexa Bliss, with yours truly, Alexa Bliss. Now, the late 80s and 90s were a phenomenal time for movies. Us 90s babies used to thrive off marathon viewings, with blockbuster movies, tons of popcorn, disguised as sleepovers. In reality, we just stayed up all night. On today's show, WWE superstar Drake Maverick tells us about his love of action movies and how stars like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Patrick Swayze helped him through those early uncool years growing up in Birmingham, England. Drake is one of my favorite people in WWE. He's always making us laugh backstage, so I think you're really gonna like us nerding out about video games and one of our favorite shows, The In-Betweeners. So, Drake, I appreciate you being here on Uncool with Alexa Bliss. So basically the feel of all this is, you're a WWE superstar. Everyone knows who you are. But at one point, we were all very uncool. And I just kind of want to figure out when that was for you. I know you grew up in the UK.
Yeah, that's true. Very, very different to America, I'm sure. But I only know about living in America from like the American Pie movies. So you guys are all weird to me. Yeah, it's very strange, very different.
Wait. From the American Pie, that's your knowledge of America is American Pie movies?
Okay, Breakfast Club. I'm showing my age now. Just seeing the comparison with like schools in America compared to schools in England. Like we all had to wear uniforms.
Yeah.
Like everybody wearing the same things, like the military. Like you must wear this colored school tie. You must wear this sweater with the school's badge on. It was like everybody had to wear the same thing. But like you had the people that would wear their ties a little shorter just because or a couple of buttons undone at the shirt because we're the cool kids,
right?
Like that sort of stuff. You had the smokers.
So were you a short tie guy or were you an unbuttoned guy? What kind of guy were you?
Just trying to fit in any way possible. I think I ended up with tie around the head guy. I was pair of shorts guy at one point, sent home for wearing shorts guy. Then the elasticated waist because I was small guy. Just everything and anything I did, completely bullied for because there was a massive. Did you have kickers over here as like shoes? Do you remember the brand kickers they were called?
No.
Okay, huge brand in England. Like for some reason with school shoes, and if you had kickers, you were great. But there was this fake version of kickers called US Brass that you get from your local called Asda in England, but it's Walmart really.
Okay.
An affiliate of Walmart. So you went and bought your US Brass school shoes from Walmart, get to school, think you were proper cool, but you were just bullied because you didn't have the cool brand.
Right, you didn't have the on brand.
Shoe.
Yeah, you had the off brand.
Right.
So I'm trying to picture it. Is it kind of like the uniforms and everything? Is it kind of like the In-Betweeners?
100% the In-Betweeners.
Okay.
So guess which character I was out of them, and you'll know it immediately. I was less of a compulsive liar though.
Jay?
100% Jay.
Yeah, so I was like, I feel like you would be a Jay.
No, it was just I was. So I watched lots of adult comedy when I was very young because swear words were naughty and funny. I got Guns N' Roses, Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 because Axl Rose said swear words.
Right.
Just anything where it was like, oh, this is it says parental advisory on it, naughty. Like I used to watch like films with like just bad language in and stuff, and I'd be like, I'd repeat it. Not that it's ever the right thing to do because it wasn't, but like no one knew what I was on about because I was just watching the most nerdish stuff.
So you were rebellious. You wore the shorts. You said the naughty words, and
yep.
You were the rebel. Yeah, you were the school rebel, pretty much.
Complete Jay from the In-Betweeners, and just rude stuff and just lying about girls and like, oh yeah, I've had dates with girls. Yeah.
Did you ever get called out on that? Did anyone ever call your bluff?
Nah.
Really?
Which is very lucky. Yeah, I never. So I had a good group of friends. growing up, but they were much younger than me, and they were the ones in the area. So
Okay.
it was very weird that I used to socialize more with people in my brother's age range, who was 2 years younger than me,
Okay.
and but it kind of because in my school year it was very difficult in regards to connecting, because there was one short guy and that was me, but then that you get known as the short kid, and then it's like,
Right.
oh, I don't feel, you get unconfident, you don't feel cool because the short kid ain't the best thing in the world, you don't think, but it actually makes you really, well, now I'm older, it's like it really makes you special,
Right.
but because that's who you are. It So then when you start hanging around with people that were younger than you, it was kind of like I was hanging out with my brothers. My brother's friends thought I was cool,
Right.
so that's why I was like, I'm hanging around with these guys because
You're
they
like the
make me
cool older
feel good.
brother, you're
Yeah, they made me feel good. But
yeah.
the reality was, I'm going through mental hell, but I just
Right.
never let it on to them. They were like, so it was very different in that respect. But it was, I miss school. Do you miss school? I just
I
miss it.
I don't. I didn't like school. Okay, so I did, but I didn't. So I grew up in a really small town, and all the
Okay.
way up until my freshman year of high school, I was super bullied. And I would always have stuff stolen from me. I remember when I got my first Razor phone, I was super excited. And then it was in my gym locker during PE and it got taken. And then I got jumped. And so then I moved high schools. And then when I moved high schools, I stood up for myself. I like called out like the biggest girl and like, you know, called her out and, you know, her out because she was like talking crap. And so then I called her out and then no one ever messed with me. But other than that, like I don't miss school. I don't miss it at all. Like I'm so glad that high school is only 4 years long. I wasn't really I was social to a point. Like I kind of like how I am now. Like I'm social when I need to be, and
Yeah.
then otherwise I'm just like a homebody. I don't do
Yep.
anything. I never did
I
anything
feel
on
you.
Friday nights. I was at home playing Sims because like that's just what, I wanted to do. And roller
Sims was
coaster
great though.
tycoon.
Yes. What was it? Theme park. I had
Yeah.
theme park. Big fan of that one.
Yeah. What
Big
so
fan.
what would you do on like Friday nights when you were in middle school, high school? Like what was your vibe? What was your
All
deal?
right. Well, you might find this surprising, but I watched Monday Night Raw, and
Oh,
but Monday Night Raw was on a Friday in England,
okay.
and that was what was weird because it was taped, and Sky Sports would air it at like 10 o'clock, and I would watch it at 10 o'clock till 12 because my friends at like 15, 16 could get in bars. They had facial hair. Young James didn't get facial hair till he was
Wait, wait,
31.
wait, wait. Back
So
up. So
like,
in a bar at 15 and 16?
yes, because the drinking age is 18, and my friends could get in bars down our local town centre. I think it was Warsaw. They
What?
could get in select bars. Some doorman didn't ID you, and it was they could get in bars. I could not because I looked
Because you
like
didn't
a
have the facial
child.
hair. It hadn't grown in
Not
yet.
not even that. I just had the facial features of a very small child until about 26, I think. Like I just like I don't know what happened, but I was years behind in like growth hormonal development with bloody growing up. It was just I actually had to go to the doctors and everything like that because they had like a
Really?
growth chart. So we had growth charts and everything when
Right.
we were younger, and they had to check in on me to make sure I was growing taller properly, everything like that. I mean, I don't know what they were looking for, but they ended up like going through height. That I had to do this all the way up until I was 16.
Oh,
It was
wow.
ridiculous. And then I left school when I was 16 and just worked in a sports store and then a bank because my grandfather really wanted me to work in a bank.
Right.
So and that's what I did until the age of 30 while wrestling.
So your
Which is,
fun thing to do was watch Monday Night Raw. You loved wrestling.
yeah,
Did you guys have
yeah.
like school dances? Like I don't know how like the UK school system works,
We had a prom because we were copying you guys across the pond
right?
because that's the cool
Because
thing
that's
to
what
do at
we did on
schools. And
American Pie. We went to prom.
yeah, yep, you did. But your prom seemed much cooler. I didn't get a date or attempt to go for a date, and
Okay.
or really shallow or really neglectful of it all, and I just didn't go.
You didn't go? Oh, see, that's a thing though now. That's a thing now. So
Yeah.
my freshman year, we had dances every year. We had homecoming, we had prom, the whole deal. We had winter formal. And I remember the older I got in junior, senior year of high school, people stopped going with dates. We just went as groups of friends. And it
Yes.
wasn't uncommon to not have a date. It was actually pretty normal to not have a date. And I remember that, and because I remember, it was such a big deal. You had to have a date. You had to have, the perfect outfit, this, that, and the other. But when we got older, I think people just stopped caring. And because they
Yeah.
realized that it doesn't really matter if you have a date or don't have a date. But other than that, I mean, they're okay.
Well, if it's anything like American Pie, somebody sleeps with somebody's mom.
Right.
You somebody sleeps with one of the nerds.
Yep.
Two people fall in love.
And then someone talks about what happened at band camp.
Yep. One guy that said he had sex with everybody gets found out about it. Yeah, just everything. It's like it all happens. Like it's exactly like the movie. It all happens.
Everything's like the movie, and everything that you read on the internet is true, and that's how we.
Absolutely.
Did you?
I remember watching American Pie, the reunion. Do you remember that? Yeah. Okay. In one day, I watched Toy Story 3, which was the end of my childhood. So it was like, when you give away the toys.
Right.
And then watched American Pie, the reunion straight after on the same day, and realized that I was Steve Stifler, and then was like, oh God. I'd gone through that day. I remember the emotional trauma I went through that day because it was the giving up of the toys. I remember giving up all my action figures, wrestling videos, everything like that. And I'm like, oh, okay, I need something to cheer me up. I'll watch this. And then this showed me that, like, oh God, I work at the bank, and like this. Oh God, I'm Stifler. I'm turned into Stifler. I'm 30 years old.
Were you like a prankster like Stifler?
Oh, I'm a huge prankster. I think everyone knows I'm a huge ribber.
Do you have any good like prank stories that you did when you were younger?
None that I could probably repeat here. Not like vulgar pranks. Like
this, just I would say this is a safe zone.
Okay.
Only me,
safe
you,
zone to not be safe.
And everyone that is going to hear it is going to know this story. So I think
we're all going to be.
I told my embarrassing stories. Miz told a story about him getting food poisoning and all over a girl's bathroom. So I think you should be okay.
God, we were very influenced by American Pie, right?
Yes.
And we got a webcam. Okay, so it's not as sordid as it sounds. But our friend was meeting up with a girl, so we gave him the webcam.
Did you Nadia and Jim it?
We tried to Nadia and Jim it, but just imagine the pixelation being so awful, just so bad, that it got to the point that like there was like a bunch of us and girls at the house like watching this, like, is anything going to happen? And it was just like watching blurs. Like, I don't know if you ever went through the stage where there was like adult movies and like for a few seconds you saw something, but there was static on the TV, anything like that. Like where
you caught a boob.
You caught a boob, like something like that. So I remember my buddy Jack just running down to Liam's house, which is down the road, and you see him like climb in the window because they'd left the room, and climbs through the window, and he's like, all right, Liam, and like, ah! I just remember that part, but like that was the sort of stuff that we'd kind of do. The majority of the pranks then became like drinking stuff, which was just like, it's England, man. It's anything that happened in the In-Betweeners was pretty much what goes on. Right. That's why it's so funny.
Well, for people that don't know the In-Betweeners, how would you explain it? I love the In-Betweeners. It's funny that you base US stuff on American Pie. I base UK things on the In-Betweeners.
It's so true though. Like even the Office, the American version of the Office is totally different to the British one because of like different cultures, everything like that. But the English Office, and having worked in an office like most of my teens and 20s growing up, it was just that, oh my God, this is so accurate. You've always got that one guy in the office that's a total kiss ass.
Oh yeah.
You've always got that one guy in the office that's just he's in management and he thinks he's Billy Big Balls because he's the boss, but he's just not.
Right.
And he's just the most like the guy who's the king of the castle, but just in one castle. Like he's just not. If you were not in this, like it's a DJ, if you were not in this bar, no girls would be talking to you. No one knows who you are. No one cares. In-Betweeners, from the moment of going to school for the first time, getting a friends group, you got one guy in the group that thinks they're cool, but outside of our group, they're not. just all that sort of stuff. And even to the point with the movie where they go on holiday together, that lad's holiday culture in England is exactly what American Pie is. You go over there. There was 15 of us that went to Kavos in Greece, and we
Yep.
all had shirts. We all had shirts on our back. I don't know if you had
The
heard of a
patrol
bank.
shirts.
Right. So we all had shirts. We were Kavos crew. We had sky blue ones, like collars. Kavos crew. On the back, I had Busted 3000 because my favorite band at the time was Busted. I don't know if they ever broke over here in America. And there's 15 of us there, and it was just carnage, just bad boy carnage.
Do you have any good stories from that, or any embarrassing stories?
Oh God, this one's good. So I'm in a room with my friend Luke and my friend Chris, and all the lads are lit pretty much everywhere. So there's probably about 7 rooms for the 15 of us. Some of the boys are bringing girls back, some of the boys are not. Me, I've decided this is the night. I'm too hungover to go out. I'm going to stay indoors. So I've fallen asleep, and Kavos is hot, like compared to England, like it's really warm. So I'm like sleeping on top of the covers in my boxer shorts, asleep. Luke and Chris have gone out. All the other boys have gone out. So I wake up, and everyone's just laughing around the bed, and I'm like, oh, they're just drunk. And what had happened is that I'd in my sleep, so I got boxer shorts with like a couple of buttons at the front.
Mm-hmm.
So what had actually happened is I've woken up, and unbeknownst to me, I've in my sleep exposed myself. Just terrible. Just like the most embarrassing situation ever when young ladies are in the room and everyone is just not pointing at you, but pointing there.
Right.
Like, ah! Like, what? Oh, and like they're taking pictures of it. They're taking.
No.
Oh, it's just I had a good time, but that wasn't a fun time. It just wasn't a good day. Wasn't a good day at the office. I remember that they were saying to me that they were going to shave my head one of the days.
Oh no.
And I was talking with a girl, and it was like in between us, like, this is the night.
This is the moment.
This is the night. This is the moment. And then the boys were talking about shaving my head. And at the time I had really long, like, rocker hair, and they were like, we're going to shave your head. We're going to shave your head. You're going to shave your head. So I was like, forget this. I'm out. There was one game that was tricked on because I was the boisterous idiot one. Like, as soon as we arrived, everyone was like, right, the tour guide brought us round, and like, this is the hotel. I've jumped as soon as we arrived. I've jumped in fully clothed, cannonballed into the pool, thinking, right, if anyone's going to make sure everyone knows that our crew has arrived, it's me. Run, jump in the pool, woohoo, splash. I think when I get out, I'm going to get a round of applause, heroes welcome. I get out, crickets. Just staring at me like.
You thought you were going to get a huge pop. You're like, hell yeah, this is my moment. Like, they're going to know I'm the partier. I'm going to have a good time.
From there on, I'd set the precedent for myself as being that guy. So the tour guides knew this. And on the last night, we were all having a big banquet and all the wine was being drank and blah, blah, blah. So they got 4 people on stage and they had to blindfold us. And it was a game of reenactment. So we had to reenact a night out. So we're blindfolded and we're like, right, so before you go out, you got to brush your teeth. So everybody brush your teeth. Okay, now you got to do your hair. Everyone do your hair. Okay, now everyone put your clothes on. So as this is going on, the night progresses and you're in the bar and you're dancing. But unbeknownst to me, we're all blindfolded. They'd started removing the other 3 contestants in this game and taking their blindfolds off and just leaving me on my own. So then it got to the point where it was like, you've met a girl, and then like you start dancing with, and then you take her back, and then you take your clothes off, and now you do this, and then they were telling me to do every position, you know, what boy meets girl, man meets woman. It just telling me to do every position possible. So I'm doing everything. I'm on top. I'm on bottom. I'm on left. I'm on right. I'm on left. I'm posing in the mirror. We're during. I'm doing absolutely everything. And then it gets to the point where they go, it's morning. You just wake up. You open the curtains, and now take your blindfold off. And I took my blindfold off, and there's everybody just staring at me and applauding and just laughing because I'd just given the sexual performance of a lifetime with the Invisible Woman. And everybody was just standing there watching it, and everybody was keeping quiet and just left me for dead. And that was one of the best holidays ever. It really was. Just so much carnage. God, you just brought all that back to me. It's just like story after story after story.
Well, that's great. This is what this is about, reliving some of the fun things that happen. And like, that's what makes you who you are today. You know what I mean?
Oh my God. There was even a fight between a couple of members of the group over go-karting. And like there was a fight in the In-Betweeners movie where they're like falling out with each other. It was exactly like that. It was just terrible. Just all of it. Oh God. That brought back some memories. That made me laugh. Sorry.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. And so this was you at what time period? You were in school, right?
No, this was just after, I believe I was 18, 19.
Okay, 18, 19. Is this when you worked in the office or before the office?
This was when I just started working in the office. I was the prankster, but it was the wrong type of prankster. Like the boss would come over to me and you go, "Did you get that fax?" And I'm like, "I don't know." Like I was still mentally in high school when I started work, and which wasn't good. And I should have been fired so many times. It's just that for some reason the bosses liked me like a little friend or a pet, or a kid that they could groom. It was just such a fool and made so many mistakes. I made so many mistakes when I was working in the bank from at like 16 to 25. It was just like I hadn't matured. It was still like school. Like I was still trying to find my feet as a human being, and trying to be
dodging being
with who
fired
I was.
Every week, I'd imagine.
Right, and just trying to find my feet as a human being, like who I was, because I just didn't. I wasn't confident. I wasn't comfortable in my own skin, if that makes sense. And like
and that takes a while to get. Oops, I just knocked the microphone. It takes a while to get to that point, of any person. It takes those moments, and it takes those embarrassing moments, takes the fun moments, takes the hard times to establish who you are today. And I think that's why you're one of the most fun WWE people we have, because you've been through all these experiences. No, really, like you are. Like everyone gets such a kick out of like when you're around, and because you're always fun, you're always telling stories and jokes, and you're just like so fun to be around. I do want to rewind a little bit though.
Okay.
I do have a question. Now, I kind of want to go back to, you said I should have been fired. Were there any stories that you are just most mind blown that you weren't fired over?
Yeah, 100%. I wired 4 million euros. No, not 4 million, 400 million euros. This is not a joke, because we used to transfer to different multiple holding accounts.
Yeah.
I transferred 400 million euros to an incorrect account once.
On accident?
Yeah, complete accident. But so I was the inputter of the information, right?
Right.
So I put in the wrong account number. There was an authorizer above that, right, who said it was good to go. And then after that, there's the team leader that looks at it and gives the final say. And he saw this and he went,
"No.
Oh no." So
well, in fairness, it's their fault for not catching it.
Well, that
especially if there was like 3 or 4 people above you.
Right. But then imagine you're the boy that cried wolf, and you're that guy a lot of times. So when you make a mistake, everyone's like, "This guy again." Seriously. So my boss, who's a woman, like very, very stout woman, very, she wasn't nice. She wasn't a nice person. I didn't get on with her at all. Imagine the Trunch Bowl from Matilda.
I was getting ready to say, is it like the principal from Matilda? That's kind of like in my 100%. Head. That's exactly what popped in my head was Miss Trunch Bowl. I was like, is it like that?
100%. She looked like Fatma Whitbread. She hated the fact. Do you know who Fatma Whitbread is? She's an Olympian, but she hated the fact that I did wrestling. She hated everything about me, my hair. When we had the one Friday every Friday we were allowed dress down, as it was called, where you didn't have to wear a shirt.
Casual Friday.
Just casual Friday. Yeah. So I'd wear. She sent me home multiple times. She was so militant, but that time when I messed up that payment, I've never felt so degraded as a person. Like I went in the bathroom and cried. Aww. Like crying. Like I ain't got no problem with crying. I've openly cried for people and whatever, but like that time I've never felt lower I wanted to just quit. I wanted the ground to swallow me up. And deep down, it was because like you're talking to somebody that at the time was making a little bit of stride in his wrestling, and I'd just done a show in Italy in front of like 10,000 people. But yet every Monday I'd come back to this job,
Right.
and I'd be like, I'm being spoken to like dirt, and I'm better than this. I feel like there's something better out there for me than this, and I'm just been
Yeah.
made to feel like this. And that was just one of them things where it's like I got to get through it, because my parents always encouraged me to, like, no matter what, just keep a stable job and just make sure that, like, although this is what you want to do, just make sure you got something to cover your bills,
Right.
like, all the time.
There's
But it
something
was just
stable coming in weekly, so you're
yeah,
good. Yeah.
it was just a mental fight, because
I bet.
what I wanted wasn't attainable, because I'm 5'4" and I didn't look like I had a muscle in my body, and like that was the sort of stuff where it was like, you know. So it was frustrating in that regard, but like that was the biggest ricket I ever made when working for the bank, I think.
That's a pretty big oopsie. If
It
I
was a big upset. They got the money back. Don't worry, they got the money back and everything like that. But like, I never lived it down. It was just one of them things. But like, uh, there was a lot of people there, like my manager Nick, and a couple of elders in the bank, like Scott and a few others. Like, I'll always remember them, because like they always gave me a pat on the back. They gave me life lessons as a man, like stuff like that, where it's like pats on the back. Relationship advice, where you just don't know your ass from your elbow when you're
right.
dating girls at that age. It's like, and then just just life advice as being older, and like it just really helped me. And every time I go home, I still go and see him. Still go and see him.
Was
It's
that
like
someone that you kind of like looked up to, like when in that time period, because they would give you life
more
advice and everything like that?
more so, as in they just didn't judge me for who I was. Like
Right.
they'd make jokes about me, and if I messed up, they had my back, because they were like,
Oh, that's a
just
solid
give him a
crew.
break. Like give the kid a break. Like these guys were like, adults with like wives and kids. Like
Right.
they were like, just give the kid a break. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
don't talk to him like that. Like he is who he is. He's a bit of a goof, but he's all right.
They're like,
But
he's gonna be big one day. They're like,
yeah,
just give him a break.
I hope they hear this, because they meant a lot to me growing up. So I just I'll probably send it their way and just say,
Yeah.
yo
You
lads,
always got to
I
give a
just
shout
want to let you
out,
know.
the ones that helped you
Always.
along the way, and people that you look up to, and that have helped you get where you are. Like, you never want to forget those people.
Absolutely.
Growing up, in this time period, was there anyone that you looked up to, or heroes, or film or TV or anything like that?
I always looked up to my mom.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care how much of a mommy's boy I am. I'm a mommy's boy. My grandparents looked after me, and my mom looked after me, because my dad, my dad was a bricklayer by trade, so he would be gone by 6 in the morning. I'd
Right.
be awake at 7, so I didn't see him in the morning before school. Went around my grandfather's and my grandmother's, and then I'd go to school, which was over the road from my grandparents. Which is also we can bully him because his grandparents are over the road. They're always watching him. I can see them out the window. Bully, bully.
Right.
What do kids are insane? So my grandparents over the road, and then my dad would come home at like 6, 7 o'clock. But he'd either do two things. He'd eat his dinner. He'd want to go to bed, or he'd want to go out with his friends. And like my dad would go out drinking a lot.
Right.
But that would cause a lot of conflict between my mom and him. So my upbringing growing up was just seeing my mom and dad arguing all the time, just rows. Never anything physical,
Right.
but just constant bickering.
Back and forth and bickering.
Yeah. So and then when my mom would be upset, like I'd sit with my mom, and like I knew she was upset, but I'd watch films with my mom, and just it didn't matter what, I'd just sit there and watch films with her, and like still do today. But my mum loved Dirty Dancing, so anytime she was sad,
I love Dirty Dancing.
Yeah, so we had VHSs at the time, and I'd always put the VHS on, or Ghost. But the common thread was that it was Patrick Swayze, who,
yeah,
I mean, EC3 and me like send back and forth like cool action movie stuff all the time.
Patrick Swayze, what a good name drop.
Oh, what a dude! He's like in like 3 movies, he just became like my favorite. Like I was a massive Schwarzenegger fan, and that's because I was a Hulk Hogan fan
Right.
watching wrestling. Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Rocky, Rambo, like Arnold in like Terminator, Predator, Commando, just any of them, just anything involving muscles and just out of this world. Like if I could pick up an action figure of these people, I could see the action figure on the TV. So that's why I'd like be like, God, I wish I was like that.
Right.
Never gonna be, but like I've always loved bodybuilding, but I've had no interest in ever doing it because I'm like,
it's not fun.
Oh God, no.
It's not fun.
You know what I mean? You've done it. I'm just me. I'm a fan of watching it. I'm a fan of watching these like hulking dudes like do what they got to do. But I'm just like, this is not for me. But it's like a wrestling fan that likes WWE but doesn't want to be a WWE
Would ever get in the
superstar.
ring.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly. So with Swayze, it was more like he kind of became my favorite out of all of them because he was just badass in Roadhouse, ripped a guy's throat out because he's Dalton. That's what Dalton did. And then it just made my mom happy. It was just really a case of like he made my mom happy, and I didn't even realize until a couple of years ago when I'm like, that's probably why he was my favorite because watched it so many times, and he was my mom's favorite, and it made her happy.
Yeah.
And vicariously he makes me happy.
It's
and
like a bonding experience through Patrick Swayze. Oh, that's awesome.
I really wish I was able to meet him. Like, you know, when we all do these conventions or there's a convention in town or whatever, but you know, God rest his soul, he died at a young age, fairly young age with cancer. But I'd have loved to be able to just say like, yo, you're the best. I love wrestling as equally as I love movies. As you know, it's I got back into video games about 3-4 years ago.
Okay.
And then, you know, like, because I just stopped playing them for a while because I was just like a movie guy and just going about town partying in Nashville. But like, you know, when I met my wife, that's when I started going, you know, back into video games and stuff. So I just enjoyed it.
That's so fun.
Keep me in the house.
And I love like old video games. I just re-downloaded like Frogger, Crazy Taxi, like all the games that I used to play when I was younger because I don't have the mental capacity and mind state to do those longer games, do the games that actually are methodical and, you know, take or group play with people. I just want to get my frog across the street. You know what I'm saying? That's all I want to do. Crash Bandicoot, it came out again, and the newer version, they actually said, I read it on Twitter, that they made the newer version of Crash Bandicoot, even though it was a re-release, it's harder. I gave up on that because I was just like, this game is so much harder. It was never this hard before. So if it's not like a simple mind play game, I don't want anything to do with it. Like what's your favorite kind of game? Like back like in the day or now, like what did you play the most?
Okay, so now so what got me back into gaming and it got me into gaming online, like I hate Call of Duty. Like I hate it. Like I buy the game because I enjoy the campaign. I cannot play online gaming with it because I'm not being defeated by a 6-year-old boy from India multiple times a day. And they berate you and they just talk smack to you like all the time. And I'm like, I can't do this.
If you played Frogger, no one would talk crap to you at all.
Fair. But I got into the Friday the 13th game, obviously because horror movie fan, but like the game was so fun playing with a bunch of friends. And I found a bunch of friends on the PS4 just through online gaming, and I happen to be wrestling fans. And just from that, I like really enjoyed the online commodity of you know, playing Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
And then you know, Predator Hunting Grounds is coming out at the end of April, so I'm going to be getting that because we all played the demo of that together, and that was something we all just got a good kick out of, just a group of us playing.
Yeah.
So that was fun. But there's not a lot of online games other than that I play. But I just got Resident Evil 3. Which was the remake of the original one, which was from when I played on the original PlayStation. But it's
isn't it nuts how much games have evolved?
Oh my god! Like the fact that they're remaking games and making them better.
Yeah.
Like Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes are like fabulous, and it's just when I remember the feeling of playing the original ones, like this is amazing, and now it's like.
Was that your favorite game growing up, Resident Evil?
I'd probably say International Superstar Soccer. Just any football games you could play with your mates. Mario Kart, obviously.
Was it like little pixelated guys just running across the field?
Yeah. just No Mercy. on the N64 or GoldenEye were just the mecca.
Yeah.
I started recollecting them all when I moved to America.
Yeah.
Because there was so there was pawn shops, and when I was at OVW, I couldn't really afford to buy the console brand new. So I'd go to a pawn shop, and there's an N64 for $20. I'm
Yeah.
like,
I mean, why not get
oh,
it?
I can still play these. So
Yeah.
saving money, I just got all the retro consoles and just like had a blast.
There was one console that someone has that had all the old like Game Boy and Game Boy Color games on them. And I
Oh man.
lost my mind because I really want to get it because it had it had Mary Kate and Ashley Get a Clue on there, and I played that because that was the game I played growing up. And then they were like little pixelated people, and I was like, these graphics are terrible. I don't know why I thought this was amazing back in the day.
I tried to convince my parents to get me a Game Boy for years, and they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do
Really?
it because it was £70. It
Oh,
was a lot,
yeah.
and converted, that's a lot of dollars.
Yeah.
But like mum and dad weren't loaded when we were growing up. They didn't have a spare £70 to drop on
Right. A game.
young boy get the game console so he could play
Plus, you have to
Super
get the
Mario Brothers,
games.
which were £50. It's just a
Yeah.
rip off. Like everything
a
still is, but it's
money drainer
it's,
for sure.
Yeah, absolute money drainer. But because she knew as soon as I bought one game, I'm going to want to buy more, and I ain't buying it. She's got to buy it. So
Right.
it was, but eventually I got one, and I remember playing Tetris. My mum fell in love with Tetris.
Really?
Just fell in love with Tetris. And my brother got a Game Gear, and my mum fell in love with Columns, which is basically a different version of Tetris, but for
yeah.
Sega. So my brother was a Sonic the Hedgehog and Sega guy, and I was a Nintendo Super Mario Brothers guy. So when I had the Super Nintendo, he had the Mega Drive. When I had the N64, he had the PlayStation. It just became that because my brother kicked Sega to the curb once no more Sonics were coming out, and he was like, "Right, I'm gonna go to the PlayStation because they got discs."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
God, it's so crazy. I went to a gaming store. There was one by my old house, and they had just all these older games and like the cartridges that when they overheat, you had to blow in them and stick them back in the game. Like they had literally everything. It was like my whole childhood when you walk in. They even had like crazy little things. Like, did you guys have yak backs? Where you would talk into a thing and then you would push yak back and it would say it to you backwards?
Nope.
I used it on that Missy Elliott song, Work It. She goes, I put my thing down, flip it and reverse it. I recorded that because I thought I was like 10 years old. I thought it was super cool. I was like, I'm going to crack what she's saying. And I recorded it on my yak back, and all she's saying is I put my thing down, flip it and reverse it, but it's playing backwards. And I was like, oh, that's all she's saying?
You found the meaning of life there.
Yeah, I did. I was so proud of myself too, because it literally just goes, I put my thing down, flip it and reverse it, and it says it backwards. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Like, which at the time, looking back on it, hindsight being 2020, I probably just should have assumed that that's what she was saying anyway. But yeah, I really thought I cracked the national treasure code on that one.
Yeah, you went full Indiana Jones on Missy Elliott.
I did.
Well done. Did America have like a Tamagotchi craze?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I totally had Tamagotchis.
Did you find out that if you just changed the date on them, you could either speed it up or just like get it over and done with, or kill them off really quickly if you wanted to?
Mine always
extend
died.
Them. Yeah, like every 9-10 days they'd pass. But like you could, if you messed with the time and the date, it would just reset and just keep going. Once I figured out that, I was just like, oh, I'm done with this. But they were so everywhere.
Yeah.
Like on people's keychains, everything.
I had those, yeah.
Like
Did you have one?
I'm feeding him a pixelated, tin of dog food. Then I've got to clean up a pixelated poop.
Yeah.
It was just.
They were the best. Tamagotchis were the best.
That's another thing I got to go buy now.
I know they have them on eBay because I've been looking up stuff to like put back here because I have my Lisa Frank folder, my Magic 8 Ball, my Lava Lamp, Trapper Keeper, everything from like the 2000s and 90s, and I didn't get a Tamagotchi yet. But I remember because I had Tamagotchis, I had a keychain and it had like 3 different Tamagotchis on it, right? And I had it hanging off my backpack. I wasn't even touching it. It was hanging on my backpack and on the back of my chair. And
I believe it might have been, I don't think it was Jessica Saifane because we were friends back then in first grade, but someone told Mrs. Woods that I had Tamagotchis on my backpack, and I'm sitting there, doing my letters, whatever. And she comes and takes them and says they're not allowed in school. It was just hanging on my backpack. She took 3 Tamagotchis. So Mrs. Woods from first grade still owes me 3 Tamagotchis because I
They
never
didn't
got them
return them
back.
to you at the end of the day and
No,
said
I
no.
never got them back
What?
because they were banned from school because everyone was playing with them. And I clearly didn't get that memo. They were just hanging on my backpack. My what was it? I think I had a Barbie backpack. And so Mrs. Woods, if you're listening, you owe me 3 Tamagotchis. And
Yeah, Mrs. Woods.
Yeah.
From military school. It
From
sounds
Monterey
like.
Elementary. You owe me three Tamagotchis.
So with Funko Pops, I see you've got one there, but like, okay, so I got the main 4 because I'm a horror movie fan. So I got Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, Leatherface. I'm like, okay, I'll just sit them there. And then they released Chucky. I'm like, okay, we'll get Chucky. Oh, then they released Tiffany. I'll put Tiffany next to Chucky. And then they release another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. Eventually, like, I must have like about.
Do you have like a whole wall of them?
Oh God, I've got like about 100 pop dolls now. I'm just looking at them now. Like, so
That's
I collected
perfect.
every Pennywise and It character from the It movies, from the recent ones, the remakes, because I fell in love with that first chapter because it was just. It wasn't so much it was a horror movie; it was just a great coming of age story, and I enjoyed them. I like even going back to American Pie in between it.
Yeah.
The coming of age things, even with South Park, it's like I really learned something today, and like that, it's just all about coming of age. So it's just like the revelation at the end. But
I love horror
just
movies. Those are the best.
They are the best. Just take you on a roller coaster. I watched. I wouldn't call it a horror, but like Invisible Man was the most recent one that I watched.
I
recently,
haven't seen that yet. I've heard it's amazing.
Pretty decent, and you can rent it on your download streams now because of obviously with theaters not open at the moment.
Right.
You can just pay what you'd pay for popcorn, parking, cinema ticket all in one. Like, and I hope that doesn't ruin movie theaters the way that we're adapting right now. Because if movie theaters go away, I don't know what I'll do. Because
I love movies.
Going to the theater. So I now go on my own, and if that was when I was younger, I'd go, oh, he's a weirdo. He's a weirdo because he's going. If you go to the movies on your own and you're older, you definitely are up to something suspect. That's what you think of when you're a kid. But like now, I'm like, it's the best cinema experience you'll have is going on your own.
Right. Now you're the guy in the theater by yourself, and you're like, you know what? I'm cool.
Yeah.
Screw you.
Oh, I think I am. I think I am. I'll never be cool.
You are pretty cool. You're pretty cool.
I've never like on the topic of the name of this podcast, I've never ever thought I was cool. I just it's just one of the things where I'm like, I don't know what I'd call cool. Like it's I think everybody's cool in their own special way. Like you don't have to like what everybody else likes to be cool, or you don't have to be, if you're a young lady, you don't have to be what the Kardashians are like to be cool.
Right.
You don't have to be what Schwarzenegger is to be cool. You don't have to be what The Rock is to be cool. If just be a good person.
Right.
You can be as cool. You can be cool in that way.
Was there like an age that you think you were your most uncool? Just like an age number.
Uncool. Definite. Oh, it's definitely in school, and I think that was just a feeling of uncoolness because like I did go through bullying, but now I look back on it when I was, when I look back on it now that I'm older, I'm like, I probably deserved every bit of it because I just wouldn't shut up. So like,
is that what you would tell yourself now? Like now, what would you tell yourself when you were your most uncool back then, that age?
So I'd be like, dude, it's going to get better and it will always get better. And you're going to find, this is going to make you tougher. Like now, you're talking to the guy that when asked to pee himself on worldwide pay-per-view in front of millions of people, I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. Because, you've asked me to do it, I'll do it. And a lot of people would be walking around embarrassment to this day that they did that. And I'm like,
it's great.
Did it entertain people? Did people think it was stupid? Maybe. But did,
I thought it was great.
did people react to it? You know what I mean? Like, it was just stuff like that where it was just the badge of honor of doing something like that. I do stuff that makes other people happy at the expense of myself because I can take it. And over the years, I've been able to take that sort of, name calling and mental grind and just like, and even getting thrown across, into a locker head first on my first day of wrestling training. It's just like, I might be the little guy, but like, I'm mentally tough and I'm physically tough because of what I've been through. So it's, and when I say what I've been through, oh my God. But these are the things that have shaped me. And, these are the things that have made me better.
Yeah.
I think
that's
just
great.
so that I can just, this is my shield. You ain't ever going to get past that. No, I'm fine. Nothing you can do will harm me because I have no problems with doing it myself. So,
That's great.
I do believe in that. And if any youngsters are listening to this as well, like youngsters, Jesus. Really
Hey,
old.
we're not old,
But, like,
okay?
well, we're functioning still happily, but it's just if anybody's listening to it, that's like, I'm not going to say like have a goal, have a dream, and Rocky Balboa speech, that cliche thing, but it's just like life's all right, and you don't have to worry so much about things because if you worry, you're just worried about getting worried constantly, and then you're overthinking, and when you overthink, you're wasting time on living. Just whatever you do that makes you happy, just do it, and you will. I remember toasting a bunch of friends at Comic-Con, and Woods was there as well. And I just said to him, I go, "There's a comic convention for all of us that thought we were uncool when we were younger," and I was like, "Nerds won,
Yeah.
but they really won."
100%.
So like, I couldn't feel cooler sitting on my couch, just like looking at my collection of Chucky dolls and Funko Pops. I'm like, this is my legacy.
So I would say it's cool to be uncool.
Yes, it really is.
Thanks to Drake Maverick for joining me on Uncool with Alexa Bliss. If you want more, you can hear a brand new episode right now. Search Uncool with Alexa Bliss on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Hit follow or subscribe. New episodes will be released every Tuesday. And let's talk about your uncool moments on social media by using the hashtag Uncool with Alexa. Thanks again for watching, and remember, it's cool to be uncool.
These are really bad that you can't repeat.
This is not like normal WWE content. This is podcast, you and me.
All right, dude, here we go.